I was going to ask you about that because you work around the military. I'm sure you see that a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why you can see where I'm coming from. Like, to me, that was so normal because as a child, that's all I was really seeing. I didn't really see what the big thing was. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what you're used to when you grow up that way. And then when you come out of that environment and you come back to the United States, then you see, oh, so black people live in this neighborhood, white people live in this neighborhood, it's black people at this school, white people. I'm like, what is this? It was like segregation. That's how it felt. You know what I'm saying? And it was just so different. And then when I noticed how black people, like especially black guys, they would like make little comments like, oh yeah, because she light skinned, like as if to say that, okay, because she's light skinned, she carries like more beauty because her skin is lighter. And then I noticed also how, even till today, I notice how like a more brown skinned person or a more dark skinned female, I notice how she's not received in the same way. It's like they say something negative about her. Oh, she's ugly. That's the first thing they like to say, is she's ugly. But I've seen, and I have dark skinned people in my family who are very attractive, but I also have light skinned people in my family who are very, so I don't think it has anything to do with your skin complexion. I think it's about a mindset that's been implemented on us by the slave master. And when I'm saying slave master, I'm not saying we come from, all of us come from slavery, but that is a slave mentality, because like going back into like the 1700s, and I just learned this not too long ago. We studied the Willie Lynch letter when I was going to college or whatever, and nobody had ever introduced that to me before. And so I had to take a feminist class, and she was a white woman. She made us read this stuff about the Willie Lynch letter. And when I was reading that letter, I was telling my mama about it. I said, Mama, did you know that this? I didn't know anything about this. They didn't even teach us that in high school. And it was talking about, Willie Lynch was talking about how you control your slaves. I think this was in Jamestown, Virginia. Now, keep in mind, I went to school in Virginia. So it's very, very prevalent there, because to me, I feel like that's where the slave ships came in at. And that's why they have the mentality that they have today about that whole light skin, dark skin thing right there in Richmond, Virginia. And it was just saying that the way they're going to do it is we're going to turn light skin against dark skin. We're going to use skin complexion. We're going to use old against the young. We're going to use all their differences against them to keep them infighting and to keep them divisive. This is how you maintain control of your slaves. And then I still see that same concept today, because that letter specifically said that this will work for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years. And it's still working today. And I'm just like, it's a mind control. And these people have not awakened from it yet. And it just, like I said, it is something that needs to be addressed. But then it's something that you can't give too much energy to either, because whatever you feed, it will grow. I had a situation where I was with one of the dudes or whatever that I used to talk to. We went to, I think it was DTLR or Foot Locker, somewhere like that. And when I walked in the store, it was these guys in there talking at the register, and they were like, yeah. And they looked at me, they was like that, but light skin. And then they started talking about, oh, would you breed with a dark-skinned person, or would you breed with a light-skinned person? And I have had a friend. Now, she's light brown skin. She's a little bit lighter than me. Very pretty. Very beautiful. But she went to an all-white school. That's all she ever came up in, is an all-white school. And she has 2 black parents. She told me at the age of 23, she said, oh, yeah, because I always knew I was going to have, like, mixed kids. And I'm like, who thinks about that? She didn't have a husband. I don't think she had a boyfriend at the time. But you had it that embedded in your head that you want to have mixed kids. Why? And to me, that's programming, because if you have your child going to an all-white school, that to me is psychologically damaging, because then they become out of touch with their identity. And then to have her mother sit there on the sofa and tell me, oh yeah, because I know I'm going to have a black son-in-law. And I'm looking at her like, do you know who your daughter is? This girl does not like black dudes whatsoever. She even made comments to other people because they came back and told me, like, they're walking through the mall. Like, if any black guys try to talk to you, like, don't even say anything to them. Just, like, turn your head.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
They did a survey, and it was on Instagram. And they were talking about how they teach our black boys that go to college, they graduate from high school and go off to college, and either the ones that they trigger like education and athletics. So the black boys that go to universities and they go on scholarships, they teach these black boys to target, either the lighter skinned black girl or white girls that actually attend in these universities, because you don't want them to be enslaved or have the mentality of them being accepted, like in the industry. And so that's the reason why we had like so many of our black men that go out and their minds is messed up because they don't they have been taught that. Coaches is teaching them that when they go off to college.
Wow.
Yes, and that's the reason why we had like an abundance from from the 80s all the way up until now, and it still exists because that was the one thing that would keep our sisters, our black sisters, our melanated sisters down, and I see it. I'm like, that's crazy. But they showed a video of that on Instagram, and they did a survey. And I think it was like 2 or 3 colleges, like these major, what do you call them?
University?
Not the Ivy League colleges, but the what do you call it? Yes.
Okay.
And so they did an interview with athletes and with the black boys who are being scholars, as far as like being architects, and I think it was one being scientists, and one was like a person who draws, and then they interviewed like for athletes, athletes, and each one of them said that they was gonna marry either a light-skinned girl who was mixed. Oh, I'm gonna give me a mixed, or they said that they was going to marry them a Caucasian woman because they wanted to be accepted in life.
Oh, wow.
They didn't want to have any problems being accepted. And then they didn't want their children to be totally black.
Wow.
Yeah, it was on Instagram.
Wow. That's it's like I said, it's a psychological issue that's going on. And you notice like the athletes, the celebrities, all of them do it. Kevin Hart divorced, and Tori Hart, she's cute, she's not a bad looking woman at all, but divorced her and got with this mixed looking woman, and you see how that's going. All of them do it. Michael Jordan, same thing with him, and I'm just like, it teaches the world.
All of them did it.
Yeah.
A lot of them did.
Yeah.
Those twins who played football, but they're retired now. Tiki, whatever their names is. both of them are married to Caucasian women. They do sports casting. Tiki, I can't think of their names, but you know, the same with Michael Strahan. You know, all of them.
Hold up, wait a minute now. Who is Michael Strahan? Who is he with right now?
Happy what?
I said, who is Michael Strahan dealing with?
You know, he had twins by that white girl. And she taking them to the white girl.
No, I didn't know.
She won $18 million in their divorce settlement. And no, she won $15 million in their divorce settlement. He offered to her that, and she won $18,000 a month.
What? Oh my gosh.
Being 18 years of age.
Yeah, that's crazy. But
She'll
see,
never have to work a day in her
no,
life.
she won't. But see, this goes back to what I was saying about financial wealth and us looking out for each other. Because like they know that when they get with these athletes, that's a paycheck for them, right? So they don't have to ever work. They're acquiring financial wealth for themselves. They're securing their financial bag for the future. So it's okay for this melanated black woman to be out here, some of them struggling, being single mothers and raising these kids, but then you can go get with a white woman or someone of another race and secure their financial future. So you're not even keeping your financial gain in the community either. That's why I understand that these celebrities are put into the forefront in front of our faces, but I just think that we need not idolize them. We need not put them on pedestals because they're not doing anything for us. And then we have our kids, you know, these young kids out there looking up to them. And then when you look at who they marry, that tells you how they really feel. Just like Dave Chappelle, he's married to an Asian woman, but he comes on stage and tells black jokes to the audience. That's just like, who else? It's another one that I was going to name. Tracy Morgan, that's another one. Black comedian. They get rich off the black audience, but who did he marry? And we know by looks, by looking at them, these women would. Jamie Foxx.
Always picking up with some white chick.
Yeah, because he was messing with Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes.
And she's a basic looking white. I'm sorry now.
Yeah, she's not even what you call beautiful.
No. On any level. On any day I put her against many women out there, white, black, and whatever else in between. She's very average and basic looking. So
she's not what you call nothing to me.
No,
I mean,
at all. At all.
So, and they had a long term. I'm talking about long term relationship, and actually, I'm really shocked. Well, I'm actually shocked at Dwayne Wade for getting with Gabrielle Union.
So what's going on with Dwayne?
Yeah, no, I'm actually shocked that he got with Gabrielle because, you know, he used to date white chicks too after he broke up with his high school sweetheart. But and I think that, you know, Gabrielle Burley, you know, got him. But Kobe Bryant, you know, he's married to that Hispanic or whatever she is. I think she's like Middle Eastern or whatever.
Right.
But
and then cheated on her with a piece of white trash because that's nasty. That is disgusting. That, remember, she saved the garments to prove that they had relations and stuff like that. See, these people be scheming and scamming on these dudes, and they just don't even care. And then on top of that, that shows that you basically didn't use protection. You risking your life with these people out here. That's nasty.
You know what? And I think that they really don't even care. I think that they don't care who they lay down with, because these athletes, they don't care raw. Cause how you gonna have a one night stand with somebody and you don't use protection?
In a whole different state, a whole town, like you just meet them and you got a wife and kids at home. I mean, you just risking it all. And these are the people they put in front of our faces as celebrities and on a pedestal, and the kids are supposed to look up to them.
Mm-hmm.
But you talk about a melanated woman, somebody who shows support for the family, somebody who helped raise your kids, somebody who's the backbone of your family, somebody who supports you, but she can get trampled upon, and then you can go run to this other flock of races and basically impregnate them, do whatever, and then get a lawsuit coming up, and now they a millionaire, just like Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
So, you know what? At this point, to me, I don't put these celebrities on no platform. I don't put them on a pedestal. I don't care. They can come to the city. I'm not supporting them. I'm not buying a ticket because they're not doing anything for our black melanated youth out here, because they want people to put money into their pockets, right? But I don't see them putting money back into our pockets. I see them taking their financial wealth and putting it into the pockets of another race. That's what I see. That's a slap in the face to a black woman. I don't care what your skin, light skin, dark skin, and brown skin, all of it. It's a slap in the face to your mother, your sister that is black, your auntie that's black that probably looked out for you when you were coming up. Jamie Foxx said he was raised by his grandmother. I'm sure she wasn't white.
Right. She wasn't. She was black. Really black. Like ghetto black.
So, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy, girl. I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's so funny? Like when I was going to school or whatever, and I took the African American psychology class, and my teacher, like I told you, she was half black, half German, but she was light skinned, 28 years old. When her daddy told her, you got to work twice as hard to prove, that you're just as good, to prove you're just as educated, because in the eyes of white people, they're just gonna look at you that way. They don't care. And for her to sit there and have the conversations that she had in that class, why was it not until, I think it was like 2013, 2012, during that time frame, 2011, that's the first time that they implemented an African American class for the college, for that university. But Black history has been existing for years and centuries prior to that. You see how we get overlooked, not just by outsiders, but by our own men and our own melanated race?
Right.
That's what I can't understand.
There is so much that I've learned in the past 2 years that I never even knew growing up in elementary or high school. Like all this fake slavery and the existence of it, and all this is like Christopher Columbus and all that kind of stuff. I didn't do all that stuff was fake.
No, because you know what it is? It's programming. If you keep telling somebody something from the time that they're in kindergarten all the way up till they graduate, they're going to believe it's true because it's coming from the school, it's in the textbooks. You haven't been introduced to anything else, so they're programming the babies. And then they're programmed as adults. And it takes a whole lot of unprogramming for them to understand the truth. And all of us are going through that right now. I'm learning stuff all the time, like how we've been lied to, but I remember as a child, I used to question that. When they taught us that in 4th grade, I said, how in the world did Christopher Columbus discover something that was already there? Because they already taught us that the Indians and the Native Americans were already in America, right? So I'm like, well, how is it that Christopher Columbus came and discovered it? He didn't discover something if people were already living on it. That just means he found out about it. He didn't know. But that doesn't mean he discovered it. Because when you discover something, that means basically nobody else knew but you, and you the one that discovered it.
It's crazy. I mean, girl, I mean, it just so much. And see, I never even knew why come Oklahoma, the state Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like all the casinos are there. So I never knew the reason why come they put casinos in certain areas in certain states, primarily Oklahoma, and it's a backstory to that.
Mm-hmm.
How the natives, the white people stole that native land.
Oh yeah.
From them, and how they don't own their own. They came in and they don't own their own properties anymore, and just a lot of crazy stuff. Like I just never knew all this stuff.
Yeah, man. Like they they teach you like back in historical times or whatever. The white people, the Europeans came over, and some of the Hispanics, they came over here. The Indians, the Native Americans, which they were already settled, right? They had reserved this land because they are native to this land. They were already here. When the white man came over, they brought in these diseases. Remember, they said they were killing off the Indians with these diseases. These Indians were getting sick from these diseases. These are foreign entities. Their bodies are not used to this. Their immune systems couldn't tolerate it. A lot of them got sick and died. But they also came over and kept pushing them off their land, pushing them off the land. So think about it. If you're coming in like on the East Coast, you're pushing these Indians and the natives further and further west. That's why you have, like you said, those casinos that are like out in Nevada and stuff like that. They put the Indians, made them get on reservations and stuff and settled the land. Now you tell me that's bullying, and then you claim this land is yours. No, it's not. Because think about it now. Almost every melanated black person has somebody in their family, or you go back in your family tree. What is your grandmother? What do your grandparents say? Oh, we got Indian in our family.
Indian, yeah.
Okay then.
Girl, you would swear all she needed was a bow and arrow.
Exactly. Yes, Indians.
I'm so serious.
And you know what? Even my daddy has told me stories about all this land that they owned. All this acres and acres and acres. And my granny, she got, I think they have at least an acre. And I would ask my mama, where did this land come from? See, because our people were indigenous to this land. We were already here. But then they, like you said, that slave story, they sell that slave story to all of us. Like they make us all feel like we came in on a ship, on a boat from Africa and brought us here, which is not true. Because when I took that cruise the other day and we were on that boat for those 3 days, and look, I told my sister, I said, it's no way you're going to tell me that you brought all these Africans on a boat, because it's just not feasible. It's not possible. We were in the water for 19 hours. Now, this is an upgraded ship now. Back then, they didn't have anything like this. And you mean to tell me we were on a ship for 19 hours going from the port of Florida, of Cape Canaveral, Florida, to the Bahamas and back. It's a 19-hour trip there and a 19-hour trip back. So you just imagine how long it took to go from one continent all the way from the Atlantic Ocean all the way across to America. You bringing in that many people on a boat? How long did that take? And you mean to tell me you had food enough to feed all of them? Yeah, of course people died of sickness. Those people on that cruise ship were getting motion sickness on the first day. They couldn't tolerate it. And you mean to tell me you had that many slaves coming over here and they made it and survived? That story does not make sense. All people got to do is take a cruise for a week and see how they feel.
That's crazy.
It's crazy the lies that they be telling us. It's crazy. So yeah, like I said, I don't believe all our people were slaves. And then I think too, somebody had said that they were kidnapping our people. They were kidnapping them and putting them into slavery. Because you got to think about it now. If you're bringing Africans over here, they don't speak the language. So how are you telling them what to do? How do they know what you want them to do? How long does it take to learn a language?
It takes quite a long time.
Exactly. So just because somebody kidnapped you and beat you into submission, you still don't know why they're beating you. You don't, I mean, how many people you just gonna beat them into like, oh yeah, we need you to pick this cotton. They don't understand. They done lied to us. Yeah, it's something to think about. It really is, because the way that your image is presented to you when you're very early on in life is very detrimental to your future. If you come from a perspective of thinking, this is because in 4th grade, this is when they started showing us the slave movies. And I used to look around at the other kids, even in Germany, in my class. And I used to wonder to myself, why is it that my people had to go through this? What is it about them that they didn't have to tolerate this? Then it gives you the perspective of, well, when you do go out here and get a job, at least this is better than being in slavery. But see, it's nothing but it's the corporate plantation all over again. They have programmed us as children so that as adults, we can be programmed to fit into their system. That's all that is. That's why they want you to put your kids in school, pledge allegiance to that flag. And I didn't know this. They had us singing slave songs in elementary school. And I didn't know it because I was in kindergarten, 1st grade. So they're programming us. When you pledge allegiance to that flag does not stand for us. That flag, they say it stands for these 13 colonies. They don't talk about the slaves that were over here when they took away the land to make these colonies that they're talking about.
What, are you serious?
Yeah. This land is your land. This land is my land. This land was made for you and me.
All that.
Whose land are they talking about? If this land is your land, why did they take it? Why did they take it? Then give it back. You know? They had us singing that stuff. We used to have to sing a song in kindergarten when I went to this elementary school. I went to 2 kindergartens. I went to one in Virginia and one in North Carolina. So I split my school year from Virginia to North Carolina. And we had to sing this song in North Carolina. It was called Jimmy Crack Corn. And it went Jimmy Crack Corn, and I don't care. My masters run away. Listen to the words and the lyrics. Your masters run away? What master are you talking about? That's a slave song they had us singing. And then there was another one called Do Your Ears Hang Low? We had to sing that one too. Do your ears hang low? Do you tie them in a bow? Do you throw them over your shoulder like a cotton in a bow? I didn't know what that stuff meant. I'm in kindergarten. I'm 5 years old. They making us sing this stuff.
Yeah. Girl, don't tell me that was a slave song too.
We were singing in Germany, in elementary school. We were singing old Negro spirituals. Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. Coming for to carry me home. Now, what home are you talking about? That's the slave masters saying they're suffering out here on the plantation. Swing low, sweet chariot. You coming to carry me home because I know death is better than being out here on this plantation. Why are you singing about death?
Wow.
Why would you?
Girl,
yeah, man.
this is crazy.
It's crazy. They made us.
I'm learning every single day.
Let me tell you, it took me years. I wasn't an adult until I figured this stuff out, and I was watching something and just putting things together. I said, wait a minute. Now, I remember right before school started, everybody had to stand up, put their hand over their heart, look at the flag, and say, pledge allegiance to that flag. And if you didn't do it, like, you would get in trouble.
Yeah, you sure would. You would get in trouble.
That flag does not stand for us. when they talk about Americans and all, that is not for the indigenous people of this land. That's for the people that came over here and colonized and settled the land. That doesn't stand for us, the natives that were here. Because if you're talking about a flag that's indigenous to the people, then that flag does not represent us, because they took our land away from our ancestors. Put them on reservation camps. And now when you go and ride down the road, you see all this land they got for sale, acres and acres, and you got the people, they're building houses and communities on it. Just imagine how much of that land probably was taken from our people.
Wow, girl.
It's infuriating when you really think. I used to have a lot of anger just that runs through my veins even thinking about it, because that changes the whole narrative of your future, your children, your grandchildren, what they could have, you could pass land down to them, because land is more valuable than anything, any resource, really.
Right.
Land. And they stripped our people of their land. You came and stole and took it. That's what they did. And then you want to tell us to go back to Africa. Why don't y'all go back to Europe? They don't want to be over there. Obviously, they're coming over here. Because I think that, certain territories have more resources or better, it could be different weather and stuff. The climate is different in different areas. But you don't come over here.
Well, let me ask you this. So why do the Hispanics say that this is their country?
The Hispanics are just like a more mixed down version of African Americans, but they don't want to claim that. If you go to like Mexico and stuff, you'll see dark skinned people there, but like they don't show us that on TV. But Mexicans were kind of here, but they're more like in the southern part. That's why when you go to Florida, it's a lot of Cubans. If you go to like the border and stuff like that, you'll have the Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans. All of that's like the islands. And then you get into the Bahamas. Then you have the Caribbeans. And a lot of people don't know that it's like what they call the Africana Latinas. You have black people over here that look completely black. And they're Latinas, they're Dominicans. And if you go up into New York, they speak Spanish. They speak Spanish. They can speak fluent Spanish. And the reason I know this is because we used to go to New York. And now I was in Macy's, the one that they show on the Macy's parades and stuff during the holidays. We were in there and we were in the shoe department. And these people look black, like just regular brown skinned black people. Started speaking fluent Spanish. And I was like, what is this? But see, they are what you would consider African Latinas. So all of that is a mixture. We're mixed up. But this is why the Hispanics, they're saying that this is their land too, because they were kind of pushed out too.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, why are they saying that this is their country, this is their land? Because really and truly, Texas, girl, they take it back then. I mean.
And even if you listen to the names of the places in Texas, El Paso, that's completely Hispanic, a Hispanic name. Texas has a lot of Hispanic names, so that holds right. Albuquerque, New Mexico.
All those places, girl. And I'm telling you, it's so many of these Hispanics. Their own, like I'm talking about, like acres and acres of land. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I come. They don't mind. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we got to start taking care of our own, because these people, they are coming back. They're getting their own people jobs that they never thought that they could get. I mean, they're actually taking over. Period.
Yeah, they really are. You know what? And that makes a lot of sense that y'all would have a lot of Hispanics out there, because you're right by the border of, Mexico and New Mexico and all of that? Yep. That makes sense.
So,
Yep. But like you said about them looking out for each other and getting jobs, that's one thing I noticed we're not doing for each other a lot of times. You know, like I notice even in your family or even like people you might know or you think is your friend, when they get a position and you're trying to ask them questions on, well, how did you do this or how did you go, they don't want to share the knowledge because they want to feel like they have a false sense of success because
Right.
they have something that you don't have, but really they don't have any more than what you have. Because my theory is this: we are not winning unless we're all winning, because you might have this little bit of success as an individual, but then you don't have anybody around you that can help sustain your success because you want to be individualistic as a black person. Well, Hispanics, well, like you said, they'll go in and then they'll pull the next person in. They'll pull their money together. They'll have more family members to come over. They'll build a house. The next thing you know, they're building a community. They got shopping stores and all, and then they owning businesses.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Like, it's crazy. Just like, okay, I just went back to work, and just so happened, I came back full time, and then there was another girl came back, she was going to the same department, but she was only intermittent. She's like, she's part time, but it's only for a short while or whatever. And she was Hispanic, and so I noticed that she was kind of during training. This really nice black guy, he was training us, and so she was just, yes, just really, getting in, and I was like, what is she doing? Is she flirting with him, or is she, I don't know what she's doing. So I was just kind of paying attention to her, and so it finally clicked, and I was like, okay, so she's trying to get in good with him, and trying to. So, come to find out, she had called her. She was like, so we was at lunch, and she said, yeah, girl, I called my cousin, and I was asking Mr. Phillips, like, what is the qualifications for the position for such and such, and my cousin, she got that, and he said that, he's gonna bring her on board and this and that. I was like, but see, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't look out for our own kind. And it's sad to say, but it's the truth. And it is so good. It's crazy.
Yeah,
like,
I know. It is.
It's crazy.